We're going to do question and answer, and as always, these are my answers. These are not the answers. I have been doing martial arts for 20 years and meditating for 18 years, and that's not nearly enough to have the answers. Give me another 20 years and I'll have really amazing answers, and then like right when I'm about to die, in fact, right when I'm dying, then I'll have all the answers. But unfortunately, I'll be dead, so you guys won't be able to get them from me. So we'll just do the best that we can tonight. So questions. Yes, Diana.
Okay, when you are meditating and you're trying to keep your mind in, like, away from any thought, what would be the best technique to do? Because sometimes you try it and you try it, but it keeps coming back. So it's like, yeah, I don't want to think about it. I'm going to keep my breathing, but then it comes again, or something comes again. What would you do? What would be the best technique to keep it away?
So if you have a specific thought, let's say, that keeps coming back. Like people ask me all the time, what do you do when you get a song stuck in your head? Well, sometimes what I do is I like finish the song quick and then let it go and stay unattached to it. But really, if you want to get a specific something out of your head, you let it go by thinking about something else. So what we do in meditation, this specific kind of meditation, is we go back to the breath. But the breath is boring, so it doesn't always work. And so what we end up doing is we think like, well, maybe I should be thinking about something else. And there are thousands of different kinds of meditation. So some people use a specific visualization. I'll visualize like shapes or colors or something. Or do it like a qigong, like you're visualizing energy flow in your body, things like that. Some people will repeat a mantra, so like transcendental meditation, you have a specific mantra that you repeat over and over again. These are different. And if your real goal is to get no thought or as close to no thought as possible, those things will get you close to no thought, but no thought is going to come when you focus on the breath, and then even eventually maybe let that go. So I had a great question. The question is, I try to meditate and my mind wanders and I think about the breath and then it wanders and I come back to the breath and it wanders and it just keeps doing that over and over. So again, you can use other things like mantras, visualizations, but the key is that you have to just kind of give into the process and surrender to it. So know that the reason that it is so good for you, that meditation is so powerful and good for your mental health, is because it is so difficult. And if it were easy, then everybody would do it. And you'd sit and try to meditate and you just become enlightened in a second, and then it would be like everybody would be walking around or just like floating an inch off the ground. It's not like that. So the challenge is part of it. And it is actually why meditation on a simple logistical level of trying to keep your mind focused and just increase your focus and mental discipline, that's why meditation is so good. Now, the more thought that you allow yourself to attach to, for example, if I'm doing a visualization, that's going to make it just a little bit less focus, because it's just easier for me to visualize that, or it's easy for me to keep my mind on something that there's more to it, right? Or if I'm sitting there and I'm listening to music, it's easier because there's more going on and my mind is more easily entertained. So I completely empathize with your question and understand it. Like, I'm trying to meditate, I'm trying to focus on the breath, and my mind keeps wandering. That's a good thing, because if it were easy, then it would be kind of pointless. So the way that you get around that is forget about being great at meditation right now. Forget about having any kind of like big progress in any one meditation. Just focus on sitting. And when you sit, that's good enough. And the rest of it is going to come. You're going to be able to sit for longer. You're going to be able to get a deeper meditation with time. And you're only going to get there if you surrender to the process and let go of having a great meditation right now. Other question. Leah.
So I was talking to a classmate about how our practice has peaks and plateaus, how it's so gratifying to pull yourself out of a plateau. Do you have any suggestions on how to pull yourself out of a mental plateau when someone believes their own story?
Yeah, well, you're touching on a lot of different things. So peaks, valleys, and plateaus. If it were just peaks and plateaus, now it's actually probably on some level, it is just you're going like this and then you're plateauing, and then you go like this and you're plateauing, but it feels to us like we're doing this. It feels like I'm great and now I'm terrible. And to get pulled out of that, first of all, I would suggest you accept it. Accept exactly where you are and exactly what you're feeling as the right thing, as the perfect thing for you to be experiencing. So in practice, for example, you have an injury. My knee hurts, and I keep thinking about it from the perspective of, when is my knee going to stop hurting? How can I stop this from happening? Instead of just, and this is not easy, but this is what we try to do, instead of just accepting it and realizing, my knee hurts. So what can I do from this place of my knee hurts? If I accept it, then I'm able to, I can work on punches instead of kicks, or I can work on my grappling, or I can work on whatever else it is that I can do, and recognize that this limitation in this moment is actually an invitation to get better at something else. So that's one way to do it. Another way is to recognize the nature of things is that this too shall pass. There's something called a J curve, and they talk about this like, I heard about it in conjunction with somebody who was making a speech for an AA meeting. But the J curve is like you're going like this, but you know when you hit this bottom, rock bottom, you're going to bounce back up and go up even higher. And it's like, think of this dip as I'm headed towards the ground, but when I get there, I'm going to bounce rather than I'm going to go there and just die. It's like you're a bouncy ball that doesn't get deflated. It's going to hit the ground and bounce up. It's not going to hit the ball. It's not going to hit the ground and just get flat. So I think that just recognizing the nature of things, that like knowing that this is going to pass, and also when you're way up here at the top of your peak and you're feeling like this is amazing and it's always going to be like this, that's wrong too. So you recognize that always, like, life and the universe and practice is in flux. And it's kind of similar to Diana's question. If you never had that, then it would be too easy, and what's the point? So we want this experience. We want to have to be able to pull ourselves out of this, because that is part of what we're learning in our experience of practice and of life. I think acceptance is really important. A great thing to do is have a solid community around you. This will be the last thing that I say about it. So I like the fact I'm talking about it with another student, and this is the experience that we're having. So if you know that it's a shared experience and you can kind of prop each other up, that's great. But if you can imagine, you're surrounding yourself with people who are always here and experiencing life as this, and, you know, woe is me and it's never going to change, and this, that has a tendency to keep you there. If you're surrounding yourself with people who are always able to pull themselves out and do that, then it's going to be easier for you to do that. It's one of the reasons why practice in the dojo is so great. And I would love to say that if you can't practice in the dojo and you can practice somewhere else, it's going to be just as good. The reality is it is not. And I know, again, from my personal experience, if you don't have this kind of environment and these people around you who are constantly, pulling you out of that funk and raising you up, it's very difficult. So hard to do something that is this challenging by yourself. And I would say nobody becomes great practicing martial arts by themselves. It's why we talk about how important it is to bring people into practice, and the more people you have in your life who are also practicing and meditating and kind of have the same kind of mindset and are on the same trajectory, it's going to be easier for you. And it's never going to be easy, but it will be easier, more manageable at least. Other question. And let me know if somebody, I assume we're not live anymore. We are live? Great. Let me know if somebody posts anything there. I don't know how it shows up, but just keep an eye on it. But don't mess with the live feed. You have a question, Dina? Go.
I have a friend that does transcendental meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something about seeing blue light.
Mm-hmm.
There's this thing about blue
it's like there all of a sudden there's a sense that scrim has been pulled away and there's depth and it's kind of blue, kind of feels like outer space. And all of a sudden it's like there's this screen and the screen just sort of dissolves and then there's this depth and it is a little bit blue. I'm wondering if you've had an experience like that or if you know anything about the blue light.
The blue light.
Or I've also heard a circle, like there's a you're supposed to see a circle.
Circle, or like a golden circle with like a star in the middle, or other stuff. I mean, I've heard this. I've heard a few different things, and there are enough people reporting this sort of thing that there has to be something to it. It's not like one person made it up and everybody's just like, yeah, I see it too. Certainly that happens on some level with a lot of people, where human beings are very susceptible to suggestion, whatever that phrase is. But there's definitely something to this. And I've certainly had experiences where I'm sitting and meditating and I'll have something, either it's just popping into my head or something that like I actually see as if like I'm almost if my eyes were open and I were seeing this thing. Maybe it's a visualization. Usually it's something vaguer like a light. Sometimes I'll have an experience where my body feels something. Maybe it's warmth, maybe and sometimes that's just because the AC's not on in the dojo. Sometimes it's like I have felt several times in my practice like my head is floating up above my body. And I feel like I am sure if I open my eyes, I'd be looking down at my body. And that might be what some people describe as an out-of-body experience in meditation. And I described that to Sifu Brown once. And I said, Sifu, I had this experience. I was sitting and I was meditating and I felt like I was floating up like a balloon on the ceiling. And I was sure if I opened my eyes, I would see everybody sitting there meditating underneath me. And I said, what is that all about? And he said, keep going. And if he had said, that's it, that's what you're supposed to be feeling when you meditate, then every time I would sit to meditate and didn't feel like that specific sensation, then I would be like, oh, I got to get that same sensation. And I'd be, seeking that specific thing, which is just another form of attachment. And if he said, that's wrong, you're not supposed to feel that, then if I ever felt it again, I would be like, this is wrong, I can't do that, I can't feel that. And the truth is, meditation is it's a very individual experience. So no two people should feel the same exact thing, but many people might experience something similar from time to time. And certainly different forms of meditation, like doing TM or doing a visualization or doing something else, might lead you to have different experiences like that. And part of it is like I'm actually using different parts of my brain, it's engaging differently, and so maybe it's more likely to happen in one way or another, depending on the specific technique that you're using. But the best thing I can say about this thing in general is Sifu Brown's answer is the right answer, and that is the one that I will give you, which is keep going. Because if you try to attach yourself to any specific experience like that, it's just another form of attachment, and it is something that if you do experience that, you're just going to have to let it go anyways. And if you're not experiencing that, you're always, searching for it. So it's not good or bad. It is just exactly what it is. It is what you are experiencing, which is exactly what you're supposed to experience right now in this moment, in this meditation. And if it happens again, great. If it happens again and it's like feels like it's strengthening in intensity, great. If it never happens again, great. Your meditation has to exist beyond all of these things. And this is really tricky because most people we think about, I'm going to sit and meditate and something amazing is going to happen. Eventually. Maybe not today, but someday something amazing is going to happen. And we always have that in the back of our head. And again, that is some form of attachment. Instead, I would say the thing that we are seeking in meditation is consistency, length, and depth. So be consistent with your meditation, get longer with your meditation, and get deeper with your meditation. So you have fewer thoughts, fewer, less sensory input happening. And from that, all of this other stuff will happen. Sometimes you'll be sitting, I get this all the time. I'm sitting and meditating and something pops into my head that is the most amazing idea that anybody has ever had. It's like, this is the deepest, most insightful thing that any human being has ever experienced, and I gotta do something about it right now. And that is possibly actually happening, and more likely your ego trying to get you to stop meditating. It's like, you gotta write this down and you gotta stop meditating and go save the world right now. Because your ego will do anything to get you to stop meditating, including making up crazy stuff. So that is all to say, like, whatever it is that you experience when you meditate, it's great. It's exactly what you're supposed to experience, and be able to let it go. It's like, let's say you're practicing energy work, Qigong, and you're able to, do something really amazing, like I can put out a candle with just the energy from my hand. I can't do this, but pretend. And I'm spending all of this time and energy, like literally learning how to do this and being able to do this, and then I can do it, and then it's like, I can do that. Wow, it's just another thing for me to get over, right? This is another thing that the ego is wrapped up in. And it's like, I'm sitting and meditating and I finally see the blue light, or I finally see the golden ring. The most amazing thing you could do in that moment is just let it go. And then see whatever's beyond that. Other question? Nothing. Nobody out on the internet wants to know anything. Go ahead, man.
A short question. It seems like before I came to the dojo, I could meditate alone, and then now I have the inability, or maybe I don't want to meditate by myself. And plus,
Likely you don't want to, but go ahead.
And plus, the environment that I have at my meditation room has been invaded by different energies, so I don't want to meditate there. And plus, when you have someone to meditate with, it's almost like they bring you, encourage you to meditate.
It's great. Look, the reason that this martial arts school exists and the reason that this meditation class exists is for me. It's not for you. It's so that I will meditate. It's so that I will, become more enlightened and whatever, and then subsequently be able to be inspirational and change all of the lives on the planet that I can touch and all of that. But being able to meditate in a group of people certainly has a different vibration, a different kind of energy. And a lot of people say, I meditate so much better in a group of people than I do by myself. And that's certainly true. It's also certainly true that if you have somebody that's like your meditation buddy, or you have this class that is the set time where I show up and I meditate, that having that consistency in your practice is super, super powerful. And if you can't get it yourself, then enlist the help of as many people as you need. Maybe you have a different person that you meditate every day of the week, whatever it takes. But that's very, very useful. Ideally, you're able to do it regardless. I like to think of, in fact, this is a fantasy of mine, I get stranded on a deserted island, on a desert island. I'd get stranded on an island, and there are coconuts, and I can eat and survive. But I got nothing to do but meditate. I couldn't even try, if I wanted to, escape the island. I can't go, come down from the mountain and visit the people. It's just me on an island, and that's all I have to do is meditate. It would get boring as hell, but some part of me just really wishes that it would happen, because then all of this other nonsense, all these other distractions would be gone, and all there is to do is sit. And who knows what the quality of my meditations would be like with only coconuts to eat. I would probably start getting lazy and tired, but it's a nice thought, right? But think of it, what if that happened and you did not have anybody else to meditate with? What would you do? Would you just give up and say, well, I don't have my meditation class anymore, so I'm done. I'm going to quit. No, keep meditating. You'd figure out a way to make it happen. So use your people around you, your classmates. Use this wonderful environment and community that we have to keep you energized. and keep you excited about practice and keep you, getting out of those dips, and try to be that same force for other people. And one of the best things that you can do is have your own consistent, strong practice where it's like, imagine if I were telling you guys to meditate every day and I didn't meditate every day. That'd be kind of terrible. So I meditate every day, in part so that I can be that inspiration and know that I'm being authentic and know that I'm not just like blowing smoke up your butts by saying you should meditate every day. Like, be the example. And think of it that way. Like, who knows who in the future you're going to be able to impact and inspire by the actions that you're doing today and the person that leads you to become. So definitely using other people as your inspiration is useful, but don't just do it in the kind of limited way that we're talking about. Think about future people. So we're going to do that right now. Think about it like I'm meditating for the entire world tonight. If I get a strong enough meditation, it's going to turn me into the person that is going to actually make the difference, to make a dent in the universe. Sit comfortably.